In the entertaining yet cutthroat world of professional wrestling, one characteristic is rarely applicable in describing one's measure of success. Wrestlers come and wrestlers go. But how many performers actually leave an impressionable mark on the business that spreads across the globe for decades upon decades? The answers may vary, as is the case toward most topics raised by professional wrestling fans. However, there's one name that has captured the imagination of fans worldwide through several generations. For over 5 calendar decades, Terry Funk has redefined the words unique and legendary. Whether it's his near 2-year reign as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion during the 1970s, or his dramatic feuds with the likes of former World Heavyweight Champion Jack Briscoe, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, or Sabu, the Madman from the Double Cross Ranch in Amarillo, Texas, has managed to make the most out of any situation he's encountered. There is one glaring example more suitable for such a compliment of the Funker. Ask anyone affiliated with professional wrestling and they'll tell you that it takes more than yourself to get over. You can't always do it yourself. For the most part, you need someone to help you during the process. During the early 1990s, many of the top stars were reluctant to do so in their respective companies. Terry Funk was one of the few exceptions. Not only did Funk help mentor young wrestlers, but he did so in an upstart independent organization known as Extreme Championship Wrestling. And wow, did he ever. What was once a small regional promotion without much flair became the talk of the wrestling world, and none of that would have occurred if it wasn't for the hard work and dedication of Terry Funk to make everyone around him better. Mick Foley said it best. Wrestlers raised their game, both physically and verbally, when the Funker came to town. He had the rare ability to bring out the best, not only in his opponents, but in onlookers as well. The Secluded Paradyme number 13, featuring the hardcore legend Terry Funk and ECW, is next. Hello peeps and peepettes, and welcome to the 13th edition of the Secluded Paradyme featuring Terry Funk and Extreme Championship Wrestling from the years of 1994 through 1997. I'm your host XIII, coming to you live here on www.facebook.com/bspecprod, which is my new fan page. If you haven't checked that out yet, definitely go do so. Got a lot of cool, interesting things to not only plug, but also for you guys just to check out and have some fun with a lot of the projects that I've been doing over the last several years. One of those, of course, is the Spec Commentators feature that I put together recently, which is doing a lot of good things, and just me discussing a lot of good, cool topics about pro wrestling. And also, I'm coming to you from www.youtube.com/brightwave, which is my official YouTube page, and the one and only www.inyourheadonline.com, the place to be to get all your wrestling news and information and just hang out with us crazy peeps and peepettes on the message boards. But without further ado, I'll get to the topic at hand. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize to a lot of people, especially a lot of the viewers out there, for not getting this up sooner. I know I've taken several months to actually get this project together. It's something that I really put a lot of dedication and a lot of time into making and building for you guys to just check out and enjoy because it is a very important topic to consider, Terry Funk and ECW. And I'd like to thank everyone from InYourHeadOnline.com who participated in the poll that I created months and months ago. I believe this was back in April or March of this year, and trying to gauge what you guys really want to see and hear from me in regards to the topic in pro wrestling, and you chose this specific one. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone who chose Terry Funk and ECW between the years of 94 and 97, in which he was a part of the company. But, you know, let's get started. You know, Terry Funk is just a special individual, and I think there's no doubting that whatsoever. The guy has given so much to the wrestling industry over his tenure, you know, over, like I mentioned in the opening monologue, so to speak, over 5 decades he's been a part of the business. The work he's done in the NWA is just phenomenal. And he's just a guy who gives a lot back to the business. And you know, that phrase is normally thrown around a lot by a lot of guys, but with Terry Funk is extremely genuine. And what he did in ECW is just beyond phenomenal. He originally, as everyone knows, he had never really been separated from the NWA. And, you know, he had helped run territories, and in Texas, he helped as a active wrestler for several decades, and as I mentioned, being the world's heavyweight champion during the 70s. He was one of the highest commodities ever. He took a lot of hiatus. He took I'd say a lengthy hiatus off of wrestling and went into the acting world. And he was really one of the first wrestlers to really do that and really be successful in it. If Terry Funk wanted to, he probably could have been a B-rate, A- kind of like an actor if he wanted to. He was really that decent in his roles. And when he came back, everybody knows his stint with the NWA / WCW in 1989 with Ric Flair. And he was with Japan. He was going back and forth during the early 90s. And from the States into Japan. And ironically, in 1993, 1994, this little commodity known as Eastern Championship Wrestling really fledgling. They weren't making a lot of money. They weren't making a lot of waves in the wrestling world. But Terry Funk saw this promotion, and he had ties with the company since, you know, the company was an establishment of the NWA. At least affiliated with that organization, and then it severed ties from it eventually. But Terry Funk saw something in this little tiny organization, and out of the goodness of his heart, and also just because he wanted to give back to the business, he invested his time and his energy, and really a lot of his resources, not necessarily financially, but a lot of the time and stuff, into ECW. And the matches that he had with the likes of Sabu and Shane Douglas the night the line was crossed, as many of you do know, the first three-way dance, so to speak, in the United States went over an hour, and it just amazed so many people. And I remember first seeing it around 1996, 1997, seeing it for the first time, because I used to order the tapes too from ECW and from their merchandise catalog, and I was just shocked by what I saw. It was something I had never seen before. I couldn't believe that a match like this could be so fast-paced, and it was so believable, and it just made sense. And Terry Funk just made both of those guys look like they were gold. And, you know, that was really, if there was one match I could show you to describe Terry Funk's time in ECW, it was that match. You know, he not only did it in the singles ranks, but he also did it in the tag team ranks. Him and Dory Funk Jr., his brother, also former NWA World Heavyweight Champion for 4 years from 69 to 73, they teamed up together and faced the Public Enemy, and they helped get them over in a barbed wire tag team match. I mean, Terry Funk just did it all in ECW, and it was absolutely to no one's surprise that in 1997, when he won the championship, in that just tremendous, main event to barely legal, he won the championship, and soon thereafter he became the honorary champion in that company for life, and they presented him an actual championship belt, a replica. So that ought to tell you something right there about what they thought he meant to ECW. I'm